All right, a little Fergie to set things off tonight on the show. Thanks for joining me here tonight on Brain Purge as we talk about whatever the fuck's on my mind. That's the beauty of the show. So thanks for listening. I appreciate it. It is, what is it, Sunday morning, 2 a.m. Central Time. Excuse me. I still have a little cough from my allergies, but I feel much better this week. So thanks for listening to the show. So that was actually a song. I think that song actually was in one of the Sex and the City movies, maybe the second one, or I'm not sure. But I love. It's just like a lighthearted, fun kind of trendy song. I like it. So today I went to dinner with my husband and some friends, and we went to the melting pot. I don't know if you've ever been there, those of you listening to the show, but it's like fondue. And, you know, I've had fondue before. I mean, it's something special, but it was pretty good. We had, I don't remember which one, the Swiss one. I don't know, it was kind of Swiss cheese, camembert, not Swiss cheese, camembert, Swiss cheese and Gouda and some other kind of cheese mixed together. It was really, really, really good. And they had like bits of bread and vegetables and what else was that they gave us to put in there? Something else. And then that was the first thing. And then after that, we had boiling water, which we cooked our filet mignon in, and I got filet mignon and andouille sausage and pot stickers for mine. You could choose 3 things, and they were really good. It was very delicious. And what else did I have? We had salad as well. That was it. I had something called a citrus Cosmo, I think it was, or citrus martini or something like that. It was pretty good. But anyway, it was a pretty good experience. We didn't get dessert, but we got everything else. But it was good. So that was delicious. That's all I've had to eat today. It was so filling. I want to say a shout out to Caleb Woods in the chat room. Thanks for joining me tonight, Caleb, on the show live. I appreciate it. I'm surprised you're awake. I guess because it's Saturday or Sunday. That's probably why. It's not the middle of the week. Fondue for 2. Fondue. Glee, yes. I remember that. By the way, speaking of Glee, I'm not really sure what's happening with it. Do you know what's going to happen with Glee? I know that Ryan Murphy said that he was going to put it so that, or make it so people were all going to go to New York, or they're going to focus on New York after this season, if they have another season. So, obviously, since the Glee Club is shut down. Okay, so Caleb says in the chat room that next season is the last season. So I guess next season is going to be all in New York City. But anyway, it's kind of sad. The last couple episodes, it kind of made me cry a little bit, especially when they closed the Glee Club. I was like, oh, I mean, I guess I'm a little sensitive, but it made me cry. It shed a couple tears. He says something big is apparently supposed to happen in the finale. Okay. Wow. Oh, like somebody dies or something? I wonder what. I think what's going to happen is that Rachel's going to get fired from Funny Girl, and because she's gotten too big for her britches, and she's making all these bad choices, and I don't know. I just don't think she's going to really. Something's going to happen to her, I think, but that's just my opinion. But anyway, it's a good show. I watch it. I caught up on a lot of them all at once on my TiVo. He says, Ryan Murphy says it's something explosive. Oh, maybe that the school's going to explode. That would be funny and good. Something very, soapy to happen. Excuse me. Anyway, so what was I going to talk about? Oh, so I'm going to talk about tonight on the show on Brain Purge, a couple of things I was thinking about. One was 40 signs that you're almost 40. I ran across this thing on BuzzFeed. I'd seen it before, and most of you who listen probably have seen it, but my nephew, by marriage, he had posted one about 30 signs you're almost 30, and I looked up one for 40 signs you're almost 40. And so I'm going to talk about that. And also something's going on with me or whatever, but there was I want Unique back. Yeah, Unique's cool. Wait, Unique. Which one was Unique? Why do I recognize the name Unique? Isn't Unique the black girl that plays the black guy who plays the black girl? Isn't that Unique, or is that? Yeah, that's Unique, isn't it? I thought Unique was still there. I guess she wasn't in the last. Well, she was in the last couple episodes. I thought. I'm not sure. Yeah, the trans character. Yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe I just didn't notice she wasn't in the last one or something. Like they had like some of the newer characters in the background of the last episode, but they didn't really say anything the whole show because they were focused on the regulars or the initial, students or initial actors they had. No, she's in Glee Club and they've stopped showing the Glee Club. Well, that's true, but there's no Glee Club left, so she can't be in Glee Club. So I guess that's what you were talking about. Yeah, it's sad. I like her too. She's awesome. Do you know that, I read something about that part, was supposed to just be some small part, and actually because she's such a popular character, they brought him back. It's true. He plays a really good transsexual. I don't know if is he transsexual in real life? He doesn't seem to be. I think he's just a gay guy, or maybe he's not gay, but I think he's gay. On that show. Sorry. God, that sounds horrible. I sound a lot worse than I feel. I don't feel bad at all. But I swear to God, I get the fuck out of Texas. I hate this place. And how often do I say that? And yet I'm still here. But I mean, there's so many bad things about it, like especially the allergies. People who've never had allergies before move to Texas and all of a sudden develop them. I'm not kidding you. Seasonal allergies, like in the spring and in the fall, especially. And I'm allergic to grass as well. Not pot, but like the grass that grows out of the ground, some kind of grasses anyway. Well, I've been watching Glee forever, Caleb. I've been watching it since the first show. So, yeah, so it's like really bad here. So when you move here, I mean, people who've moved from like Colorado or from California, which a lot of people are moving here from California, because the cost of living is so much better here and the standard of living is better for the same or a lot less money. So, a lot of Californians are moving to Dallas specifically, and a lot of them are having allergy issues. And like me, and I've been here my entire life, and you think I would have developed some sort of immunity, but I guess not. I've always had allergies ever since I remember. When I was little, until I was 6 years old, I had asthma. So I was really, it's just been really bad for me my whole life. But anyway, so lately, this last week or two, with these allergies just kicking my ass, it sucked. I hate fucking Texas. It sucks so bad. Caleb says the pollen has taken over Alabama. I'm about ready to stop fighting for gay marriage and start fighting against pollen. Yeah, I can't say I blame you for that. I mean, it is so bad. It's so miserable. And just, I mean, you can't live like a normal existence with all that bullshit and crap in the air. When I was little and I would spend the summers at my grandmother's house, she had a cottonwood tree in her front yard, a huge cottonwood tree, one of her trees she had. And it would, I don't know if you know what a cottonwood tree is, but it would like, spread those little cottony spores all over the place all summer and spring. And I was allergic to them. And so I was just like sneezing all summer and all spring and just like wheezing. It was horrible. And it sounded stuffy. It was horrible. And I recently drove by that place just to see for nostalgic reasons, her old place. And actually they cut down that tree, thank God. But anyway, so no more. But yeah, cottonwood and grass and like certain pollens and stuff I'm allergic to as well. And it just sucks. But anyway. Ew, everyone's cars are yellow because of all the pollen, he says, in Alabama. That's just gross. And that pollen, that stuff it doesn't like ruin your paint. I think it like ruins your paint and everything, but I'm not sure. Anyway, sorry. So I have been watching, I'm trying to think of the shows I've been watching lately. One thing I tried to get into was the Game of Thrones. And, I have a lot of friends who were into Game of Thrones and they're just like, oh my God, it's a great show. I love it. Blah, 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 blah. And I thought I might like it because I like historical type historical pieces of like TV or whatever, and I love that kind of stuff. But and especially like about kings and queens and like intrigue and whatever. Like I love the Tudors, that show that was on for a while on Showtime. That was really good. And I love the movie Elizabeth with Cate Blanchett, the first one and the second one. I love those kind of period pieces and stuff. And so anyway, I thought I'd be interested in it. So I started watching and I watched the first episode. I could not get through the second half of the first episode. I watched the first half. I was like, this is bullshit. And then my friends all said, oh my God, you have to watch at least the first 4 episodes before it gets good. So I said, okay, I'll try it again. And I had just really, really, really tried to get into the second half of Games of Thrones, just the first episode. And I couldn't I watched it, but it was just boring and gruesome and gross and stupid to me. I didn't like it at all. So I don't really see what the draw is for Game of Thrones. I don't really think it's that great, but I'm not really that into like fantasy type shows and movies and stuff. Like if it were more realistic, I may be into it and didn't have the white Knighters or the white lighters or whatever the fuck they're called in it, I probably would be more into it, but it does. So I'm not really that into it, but anyway. And what else have I been watching? So I've been watching a lot of documentaries lately, and a lot of new series I've been trying to get into. Oh, another series I watch is with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson called True Detectives. And it's interesting. But I realized watching that show, I've been watching like, I think in the 5th episode. It is overrated. Thank you, Caleb. I think so too. I don't really get the draw. I mean, to me, it's just a bunch of like, under Games of Thrones, it's just a bunch of blood and cutting people's heads off and sex. And there's like an incestuous relationship between some brother and sister, and they have a kid. And so I've heard, that's what I've been told. So whatever. Yes, I have seen The Woman Who Wasn't There. I watched that last year on Netflix. And yeah, it is about a woman who pretended to be a 9/11 survivor. And I did watch it, and she was very convincing. People very, very much believed her, and she lied about where she lived, and she lied about he says he hasn't seen it yet, so I'm not going to spoil it for you. But anyway, It's a really good movie. Yeah, if you haven't seen The Woman Who Wasn't There, you should watch it. It's a really good documentary, and it kind of shows you how people, can be really fucked up. I mean, people can be very people who are very fucked up like that can be very convincing and charming and convincing about what they're saying as the truth, but they're so fucked up and so deluded. I mean, there's so many people like that I've known and run across. I won't name any names, but that are delusional about their themselves and their own lives and who they are. And this is a perfect example of that. And this woman is just batshit crazy, really, in a lot of ways. But you also begin to feel sorry for her by the end of the movie. Simply, it's more like you feel pity for her. At least I did. I felt really pity for her because she really is kind of a sad figure. But yeah, I have seen that movie, and I liked it. It was good. It was an entertaining documentary. Definitely worth checking out for those of you who haven't seen it. So I'm trying to think what else I have in my Netflix queue. I'm going to go to Netflix real quick and see what I have in it, or shows I've watched, and so I can tell you what I've watched lately. I've been trying to relax the past week or so because I'm about to gear up for a huge project. I'm building a recently watched. There we go. I'm building a lake house for for a family, for a couple rather. Well, it's a family, and so I'm starting that in a couple of weeks, and so I'm going to be so busy, and so I'm trying to just relax before then because I won't have any time to relax or do anything else or do a show probably. Anyway, okay, so I watched. Last night I watched a documentary. See, I'm really big into documentaries. I love documentaries. I love real stories about real people. And like when I read a book or something, my entire life, I've almost always read almost exclusively, not exclusively, but I'd say like 80% of the books I've read have been biographies or autobiographies, like true life stories about people. And so last night I watched a documentary called "I'm Carolyn Parker, the Good, the Mad, and the Beautiful," and it was okay, but it was just about this woman who really stood up against. It was about after Katrina in New Orleans, and she wanted to stay in her house in New Orleans after it was damaged, and the exterior was still there, but the interior was all damaged and completely had to be gutted, and all the electrical and everything else, of course, and so. She was poor and she's black and she's trying to stay and keep her house and everything else. So everybody's trying to make her leave or move out or live in a FEMA trailer or whatever. And she fights and fights and fights for 5 years and finally gets her house back. And it's just sort of the story about that follows her over those course of years and how frustrating it was for people who lived in New Orleans at the time. It was really interesting. And then before that, I watched something called Inequality for All. And I don't know if any of you know, those of you who listen to the show, there's his name is Robert Reich. He's the former U.S. Labor Secretary who was under Clinton, and he's a really cool guy. He's really short. He's got what's called oh my God, Fairbanks syndrome. So it makes him, he's not a midget or he's not a dwarf, but he's really short. So he's like only 5'1" or something, or 5 foot. And so he's really short, but he's really cool. Anyway, the point is he talks about the widening economic gap in the United States, how we have these really, 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 really ultra rich people. And then we have the rest of us pretty much. And the gap between the two is astronomical. And he talks about how the fact is people, Republicans and right wingers will often say, well, we need to spend more and trickle down economics works and blah, blah, blah. And that if the rich are richer, then we'll all be better off. And he proves that that's not true and why it's not true. And anyway, I'm a geek about this kind of stuff. So a lot of people might be interested in that, but it's very interesting, and it kind of makes you mad when you see what Republicans have done to this country, people. Republicans. Yes, Republicans. Tea Partiers, Republicans, right wingers, not Democrats. It's all in the fucking movie and in his book, by the way. So, I mean, all you have to do is follow the fucking facts, people. If you vote for Republicans, you're voting against yourself, at least most of you. Okay, so let me go back to what Caleb is saying in here. He's saying blah, blah, blah. Blackfish. I haven't seen Blackfish. Bates Motel. I do watch Bates Motel, but I watch that live every week. I've watched it since the first episode, and Michael and I both watch that. And I love that show. I think it's really good, but I always think it's kind of creepy because did you watch, Caleb, do you watch it? Have you watched it, or are you going to watch it? Because the relationship between he and his mother is so like Oedipal. It's so weird and just, it's just so weird. I love Vera Farmiga. I love Vera Farmiga. I love her. And she's such a good actress, and I just adore her. And actually my husband's sister looks just like her, except she has dark hair. Well, she does dark hair too, but I mean, she's dyed it. But yeah, I watch it too. We love that show. I'm just waiting for him to snap and lose it completely and like go completely nuts. But I mean, he's done it a couple of times, but it's a good show. Hold on a second. Okay, sorry. Anyway, so yes, we do watch Bates Motel, and I have seen the Lucy biopic. About Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. There's a couple on Netflix that I've seen, both of them, and one was better than the other, but they were both pretty good, and both of them pretty much paint a picture about Lucille Ball and how she's was totally fucked over by Desi Arnaz in terms of the infidelity department. How he really just didn't care. He didn't show her any kind of reverence for who she was or anything, because it was his cultural bent, but that's not an excuse. It was just the reason. But it's really kind of sad how he treated her, and so I understand why she ended up leaving him. I mean, he really was a big philanderer. But yeah, I have seen that as well. What else is in my thing here? I watched a movie. Well, I told you on the previous show about Interior Leather Bar already, which was interesting. And then I started watching. I never finished it. There's this documentary about a middle-aged man who tries to connect with a young man he met on the internet, and his teenage daughter is trying to hook up with his former basketball star. And it's interesting because like the main character, the main middle-aged guy, is black and portly and not attractive or anything. And then the young guy is really hot and he's white and he's like 17 or something, 16 or 17. And it reminds me actually of my life when I was in the 90s, when I was online and dating guys I'm meeting guys online who were older than myself, because that's what I was attracted to generally. And they were usually much better looking. Well, they were always better looking. Not always, but usually better looking than the guy playing this guy is attracted to him. But anyway, it's interesting. So I started watching and I forgot to finish watching it because I fell asleep or something. Not because the movie was bad, but it was interesting. So I think I'm going to check that out and finish it later tonight. But anyway, and then there's, what else is in my queue here? Let's see what else we have. What else have I seen? I've seen a movie called The Happy Sad, Long Way Home, The Loving Story, which is a great story. I knew the story already, but that's a great documentary about Loving versus Virginia, and it actually has them in it. So that's a great one. Oh, I watched the entire season of Breaking Amish, which is a show about these kids who actually... these kids who actually are Amish or Mennonites, and they go out into the real world for their Rumspringa or whatever, and they have to decide whether they want to go home or not because they're shunned from their family. Even though the people were really kind of shallow and superficial that they chose, it was, and they faked a lot of it because it came out after the show that a lot of it was faked, or not faked, but they weren't completely honest about who they were. Like some of them had already been out of their community before and lived out of it, and some of them had been married, and some of them had been married on the show. They acted like they just met for the first time, or they would just start dating or something, or some of them were married actually. So it was really weird, but it was good. And then I watched the movie Mud. Oh, that's what I was going to say earlier about Matthew McConaughey. He's not, I realized watching on that show True Detective, he's not really a very good actor. Now, he was a good actor in Dallas Buyers Club. He did a good job in that, but generally the majority of the movies he's in, he's really not that great of an actor, and he's not really acting. He's pretty much just playing himself in every single movie. I just realized that, but he's fun to look at, so I guess it's okay. Caleb says Geography Club. It has unique and Glee from it. Good gay movie. No, I haven't seen that. I'll have to look at that, Caleb. What else do I have on here? I have Catching Killers. Like, I love to watch shows like with really murder shows and stuff, like true, like CSI shows and stuff. I love that kind of stuff. A show called Following Sean. I don't remember watching that. Let me see what that is. Oh, that was interesting, but you probably wouldn't find it interesting. Tyler Perry's Temptation. I watched that. I talked about that on my show previously before. I'm watching Queer as Folk again. Still trying to finish those, all 5 seasons of that, or 7 seasons, whatever it was. What else is on here? I don't think there's much else. I mean, this is what I've been watching lately. Oh, Cloudburst. I watched this on 2/26/14. So February 26th, I watched it. And it was, it's got Olympia Dukakis in it, and she plays a lesbian, an old lesbian lady who wants to marry her like lifelong partner of like 40 years or something. And she, her partner's daughter wants to put her in a home, and she's trying to get to Canada to get married to her so they can stay together. Anyway, it's really interesting. House of Cards, I finished that already, of course. Salinger, COG, C-O-G, Crocodile Dundee 2. I don't know why I watched that. Anyway, that's some of the stuff I watched. So, I don't know. Anyway, so now I'm going to take a quick break, come back, and I'm going to talk to you about 40 signs, or almost 40, and how I relate to these things, because I certainly do. Being that I am 38, I'll be 39 in June. So I'll be right back after this, and we will talk some more to whomever's in the chat room, Caleb or whomever, and we will talk more about this. If you want to call in, you can always call in 214-377-0481. I will be back in just a minute. Be right back.
It's I'm not your bitch, don't hang your shit on me.
Why don't you just deal with it?
'Cause I'm not sorry.
Would you like me better if I was?
It's human nature. It's human nature. And I'm not sorry.
I have no regrets.
I'm not your bitch, don't hang your shit on me.
Just look in the mirror.
And I'm not sorry.
I don't have to justify anything.
It's human nature. It's human nature.
All right, so that was Madonna with Human Nature, my previous theme song to my show when I was on Blog Talk Radio. I love that song and I love Madonna. Anyway, welcome back to Brain Purge. We're talking about whatever. Caleb may actually call in to talk about what's going on with his partner and that whole thing. So feel free to call in anytime you want to, Caleb. I'm going to open Skype for you, though. Hold on. Give me a second to open it. Anyway, so before we talk to Caleb, I wanted to quickly go over the 40 signs that you're almost 40 and tell you, kind of relate to you what that's about. Because about to turn 40 and, well, no, I'm not. I have a year left. I'm about to turn 39, but I'm already thinking like, oh my God, I'm almost 40. Yeah, hold on. 214-377-0481. Hope you got that. Anyway, so let me talk about that real quick, and then we'll take a call from Caleb in a moment. So there is in this list 40 things, and it's kind of just tongue in cheek, obviously, and funny, but it's interesting. Your favorite rock bands or your favorite bands from high school now play on classic rock stations, like Nirvana and Madonna, even if it's not a rock band, but you know what I mean, and U2 and Depeche Mode or whatever. So it's amazing to me when I turn on the radio and I hear these people on classic rock stations. And I remember when I was in high school, like 102.9 here in Dallas is called Mix 102.9, and they play like a mix of different eras of music genres, and eras. And they when I was in high school, they would say Mix 102.9 playing the best of the 60s, 70s, and today. Because it was the 80s, right? It was 80s or 90s, depending on what time. So it was either 60s, 70s today or 70s, 80s, and today, depending on what part of high school I was in. But anyway, and now it's Mix 102.9 playing the best of the 90s, 2000s, and today. So like the 90s, when I went to high school, is now the classic era. It just cracks me up. And especially when I meet people and like I have nephews and nieces who were born in the 90s, I think it's hilarious. Anyway, number 2 is, and your favorite TV shows play on Nick at Night. Like Friends was like the epitome of the 90s, and it was totally like what it was. Well, it wasn't what it was like to be alive in the 90s and be like in your 20s necessarily, I don't think. But it was certainly reflective of the time in other ways. Number 3, instead of laughing at those Activia commercials, do you wonder, does it work? And as you get older, it's so true. You start to have issues like you can't digest the kind of food you necessarily could digest before. Like I am a very big spicy eater, so I love spicy foods. I love spicy foods, and I still eat spicy foods like as much as I can. And every once in a while, it'll kind of come back on me because I'm getting old. Number 4, the only new celebrities you recognize are the offspring of the ones you grew up loving. So Melanie Griffith has kids. Tom Cruise has kids, of course. Goldie Hawn has kids, and she's an actual actress now, of course, and so on and so forth. Number 5, you still have a CD collection. Do you know that I had about 500, 600 CDs by the time MP3s came about, or by the time iTunes came about, I should say. And I still have every single one of them, and I have them in a big box in like my storage closet, and I have them all in the cases. Most of them are in the cases, some aren't. But what am I going to do with all those things? I mean, I've already, like put them in my computer. So they're all in my iTunes and everything else. So I have them, but I don't want to throw them away. So I have this huge box of plastic cases of CDs that I just don't know what to do with. They're just sitting there. So I don't know if I should keep them or throw them away or whatever. Number 6, but you haven't bought a CD by a new artist in years. That's true. The only CDs I ever buy, literally, like for music, are the Madonna ones. That's it, just so I can have every single CD she's ever had released, which I have. So I just buy those for posterity, and I don't ever open them because I just listen to them on the MP3 version. But it's true. It's like that's the only reason I ever have a buy a CD. So it's amazing to me that they even still sell them. Number 7, you rely on Spanx more and more. Well, I'm not so much for me on that one, but I certainly know that I way more than I did when I was in my 20s. Number 8, you're seriously concerned you're not saving enough for retirement. You know, as you get older, you have to save money because you're going to need it when you're old and you can't work and people don't want to hire you because you're old. So I try to save for my retirement. I try to put away 20% of everything I make just for that and 10% for savings. And that's how I work my things out. Number 9, you bought your first pair of over-the-counter reading glasses. I'm not there yet. I still see, I'm nearsighted, so I still see fine reading, but I noticed that my eyesight's starting to change already. Like when I look far away, it's starting to change again. So that's old shit. Number 10, you used to print your school papers on dot matrix paper. Do you even know what dot matrix paper is, by the way? I'm wondering, Caleb, if you're still listening, or anybody who's listening, I wonder if you even know what dot matrix paper is, because it's like it's something completely obsolete for the most part. The only time I ever see it is like a car dealership or like at a federal government, like the DMV or something. It's like this paper. It has these little holes on the sides that would pull up, because what would happen, you'd put it in the printer, and then it would pull up the page through the little holes because it wouldn't pull it up any other way. So and that's what I actually printed my stuff on when I was in college and high school. So scary. Number 11, that one's stupid. Number 12, oh, every weekend is another kid's birthday party. That's so fucking true. As I've gotten older, it's like all these people, you know, they have kids and they're like 5, 6 years old or whatever, and they're all having birthday parties for them. And we have to go. The good ones always have alcohol. I'm not going to do all of these, obviously. Oh, number 14, the hair on your eyebrows, ears, and nose has started to grow in really weird ways. I don't know what it is about guys, but as we get older, we start to have really weird, straggly eyebrow hair and nose hair, and it just gets weird. And so you have to really keep it in check. You have to pluck and you have to shave. And it's just like, oh, it's horrible. Getting old sucks, people. Number 15, while the hair in your head gets thinner and thinner. That's true. My hair has gotten thinner, but if I blow dry it the right way or whatever, then it stays looking pretty good. Number 16, more of your friends are announcing divorces than engagements. True, everybody's getting divorced. Number 17, you increasingly enjoy playing the game of Remember When. Do you remember when Donkey Kong was around? When I was a kid, we played Donkey Kong and Pitfall and Frogger and those kind of things. Anyway, number 18, you really don't understand how to watch MTV anymore. And I don't. You know what I mean? MTV is supposed to be about music. It's supposed to be the music TV. That's what MTV stands for. But they never play any fucking music. They don't play fucking music on MTV anymore. It's just like programming. It's weird. So why do they even call it music TV? Let's see. Keep going. Spotify has started targeting you with Viagra ads because you can only listen to music from the early 90s. That's true. I'm still listening. Sorry. Hold on. Almost done. You were still older than a player. Well, that's boring. Stupid. You go around turning all that lights off in the house. That's true. I do that. Everything you think happened 5 years ago actually happened 15 to 20 years ago, or 10 to 15 years ago. That's true. Do you remember, like, I don't know, as you get older, it seems like everything, that's true, because it's like, it seems like the 90s were just yesterday to me, but they were actually 20 fucking years ago. So it's like, I'm fucking old. Number 28, you still have a beeper sitting in a drawer somewhere. I actually do still have a beeper sitting in a drawer somewhere. You know, when I had a beeper in the 90s, when I was in college, I would actually, people would text you or they would call a number and talk to an operator, and then they would give the operator a message, and the operator would send that message like a text message to your beeper. And I remember always getting those text messages and being so excited. I remember having complete conversations with people on it too. And some phones allowed you to do it, but it was really rare. Unless you had a really nice phone, you couldn't do it. But anyway, that's how people communicated in the early days, the Stone Ages. What else is on here? Number 32, stupid. Number 33. Oh, this happened to me last week. Waitresses card you to get a good tip and not because they think you're under 21. I was out with my husband and his family in Waco, and we were eating, and the waitress carded me. I was like, are you fucking serious? I'm like really old. And she's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I got to see your ID. And so I showed her my ID. She's like, oh my God. So maybe she was just trying to get like a tip. Number 34, all the actors and actresses you used to think were hot now play grandparents. That's true too. A single drink gives you a wicked hangover. You know, when I was in my 20s, I could drink, and I would have maybe a hangover, but the next day I was fine, usually. I didn't feel anything. Now, if I drink, I am fucking, like for 2 days, I am like fucking out of it. It's ridiculous. Number 37. Okay, never mind. That's stupid too. Almost done. There's only one more left. But despite everything, there's no amount of money that could pay you to be a confused 20-something again. That is very true. I would never in a fucking million years. You know, people always say, I wish I were 20 years old again or 25 or whatever. No, I have no desire to be that age again, because when you're in your 20s, no offense, 20-year-olds out there, you're fucking stupid. You don't know anything. You think you know everything, but you don't know very much, usually, generally speaking. That's not true of everyone, of course, but generally that's the way it is. And we all think we know everything when we're in our 20s and really don't know shit. And as you grow older, you begin to realize you didn't know shit. And it's embarrassing. I mean, the things I did in my 20s, I was like, not because I did bad things, but just the mistakes I made are embarrassing. So to me personally, I think about them and I cringe, and I read my diaries from those ages, which I kept, you know, which I wrote prolifically in those days in my diary almost every day. So I have almost an entire record of my life in my 20s. And the things I said were so embarrassing. I was so stupid. I mean, looking back, I was so dumb. I thought I was so smart and so mature, and I was in some ways, but I generally just was a fucking idiot. And number 40 is last one. And as you stare down the big 40, you finally feel as if you've got things figured out in life. And I think that's true. I think as I've gotten older and I'm getting closer to 40, that I really do think I understand what the fuck is going on in this fucking world, and that most things that happen to us in this world are beyond our control. And all you can really do is control the things you can control and react positively or in, you know, the right way to the things you can't control, because generally you can't control shit. Life's going to happen and come at you no matter what, and you can't really do shit about it. So I'm going to play one more song, come back, and we'll talk to, as soon as the song is over, we'll talk to Caleb about what's going on with he and his boyfriend. What's going on with he and his boyfriend and his boyfriend's relationship with his boyfriend's parents, and I'll be right back.
I like the people, I like the song. This is my kind of music. They play it all night long. I like the singer, he's lonely and strange. Every track has a vocal, and that makes a change. And everything about tonight feels right and so young. And anything I wanna say out loud will be sung. It's in the music, it's in the song. Everyone I hoped would be around has come along. For the music, it's in the music, it's in the song.
right, so we're back with Brain Purge as we talk about whatever. So, waiting for Caleb to call in. He's going to talk to me about what's going on with he and his boyfriend. So let's see what he has to say. Caleb, feel free to call in now if you like, 214-377-0481, or you can call using Skype for free if you want. Call Off Limits Show. So I'm here waiting for you when you're ready to speak. Just a little background. If you haven't listened to me talk to Caleb before, he has a boyfriend he's been with for a while, and his boyfriend recently came out to his family, and it did not go well. So let's see what Caleb has to say. Hey, Caleb, are you there?
Hey, yeah.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to hear your voice, your little accent. I love it.
Yeah, of course.
It's not a bad thing. It's great. It's endearing. So
I wish it'd go away, but okay.
how's things going with the family?
It's, I don't know. It's better. Well, I guess it's better when you get rid of like the toxic people in your life.
Well, first of all, tell me what's going on. Is your family still doing good? Everything's okay with them and everything?
Oh yeah.
Good. So your partner's family is not as happy, still not happy he's gay. And what did you tell me they said, and what's happening with that?
Right. So they had been on a talk once a week kind of relationship for the past few weeks, and Easter was coming up, and they always have a big thing at his house or whatever, at his grandparents' house. And so the Wednesday before Easter Sunday, his parents, they kept on calling him, and he had started just not even answering the phone.
Yeah.
He just doesn't even want to talk to him, because every time he does, it's negative and depressing, and they say horrible things.
Right.
Anyway, so he finally talked to them on Wednesday, and he said, after him not wanting to respond to them, I said, look, just call them and just say, I'm coming to Easter, and I'm planning on bringing Caleb. Is that going to be a problem? And just see what they have to say, What are they going to say? No, and then you will know.
Right.
And so, anyway, he called and basically said, I'm planning on coming to Easter, and Caleb's coming with me. Is that going to be a problem? And they said, yes, that will be a huge problem. And then they proceeded to say that they just wouldn't even go to the Easter if he brought me there. And that they couldn't speak for his grandma, but that his grandparents think the same that they do. And, oh, by the way, they told them a few days prior to that. So they basically outed him to even more people.
Yes.
Like they've already outed him to his sister and aunt and everything. And so Luke was basically like, okay, well, all right. And then they said, well, are you coming, to Easter? And he said, no, So that was the end of that. And then, of course, just like what happened at Christmas and Thanksgiving, they tried to manipulate him into going and have other people call. And his grandma called on Thursday, and he just did not even answer. And then Friday, they celebrated Easter on the Saturday before the Sunday. And Friday night, he finally called his grandma back after his aunt had contacted him, and his grandma had called him several times from Wednesday to Friday. And he finally called and said, I was planning on bringing Caleb. Is that going to be a problem? Because it's at their house, so they have the final say, and she just let loose, basically, and said that he was a mistake, and that she was just saying, I am so sorry. And at first he thought she was saying, I'm sorry that your parents are treating you so bad. And then she said, I'm so sorry you've turned out this way.
Wow.
And so it was just horrible, horrible things. And I mean, she didn't realize what she was saying. She wasn't trying to be mean, but it was pretty terrible. And So
no one,
okay.
so no one in his family, no one in his family is supportive. No one.
No. Well, some say they do, but after the whole Easter thing went by and nobody texted him and said, "We're sorry, you're not here. How you're being treated is wrong."
Right.
Then that kind of said to him, "Okay, well, nobody's got the balls to stand up for the persecuted here, so they don't really care that much, you know?"
Yeah. Yeah. That's a shame. That's so sad that he has to feel so alone and dejected and rejected and dejected. Yeah. That's so sad. I just feel so bad for him. Because losing your family, even if it's a family that is bigoted and anti-gay and so filled with hatred, it's still your family. And I know that he must miss them and want to be part of their lives, but to be so just shunned by them this way has got to be so painful. And I'm so sorry he's having to go through this. It's just so hard.
I know, and on that Wednesday when he talked to his parents, he said, "Your love," he was talking to his parents, and he said, "Your hate for Caleb outweighs your love for me, because you would rather me not be at Easter than just have to be civil in front of him."
Exactly.
In front of him. And they said, no, we love Caleb, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, they went on to say that I was not welcome in their house. So it's so distorted. It's so ridiculous.
Well,
it drives me crazy.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and you know, that's the thing about Christians, and especially Baptists, and I assume they're Baptist, right? Are they Southern Baptist?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I thought so. They are the most hypocritical people of all. I mean, and so it's not only is their religion hypocritical, but their behavior follows suit. So they don't even realize it necessarily that they're being such hypocrites, probably. And their behavior, I mean, to say, "Oh, well, we love you, but you're not welcome here. We love you, but we don't want anything to do with you. We love you as long as you are exactly who we say you're supposed to be, and you do exactly as we say we love you." That's not love at all. It's control. And so for them to even say that is hypocritical, and it's not even true. So I really, God, I mean, I've heard so much about this from you and about these people. I really have a huge hatred for them. I mean, I really do. I don't know them.
No, I do too.
But I just hate them. And I don't hate a lot of people, but one thing I hate, as you know, is bigotry, and they are just the epitome of it. And as I've said to you before, as hard as it is and may be, I just think he needs to write them off and realize that they're not going to change their minds, that they are brainwashed, that they are simple-minded people whom will not think for themselves, that they are thinking with their pastor's brain or their Bible's brain and not their own brain, and not with their hearts. So as long as that's the case, he's going to have to, in my opinion, I mean, I can't speak for him and what he's going to do, but I think he should, as hard as it may be, as I've said before, he just needs to write them off and say, and no more, have no contact with them at all. And I know they keep sucking him back in some way, because I'm sure he wants them to be part of his life, and he loves them. A part of him does still, I'm sure. But don't you think that the best policy would be for him to just go away, leave them alone? If they ever want anything to do with him again, then they'll come to him and they'll let him know that they've had a change of heart. Otherwise, he's doing something that's a lost cause. I mean, there's nothing he can do to change the situation at all, except be what they want him to be, and he's not going to do that.
Exactly. And when he came out to them in last October, you know, he understood, and this is just a testament to the kind of person that he is, but he understood that how in shock that they were at first. So he went with meetings with his pastor, or that he used to work at before he was let go because of the gay thing. But he went with meetings with his pastor and his parents to talk with them. He spoke with family friends that they wanted to talk to him with. He gave them online resources, books, DVDs to watch. He sent them a letter, like a long-page letter explaining things. Nothing worked. So after this little stunt at Easter, I said, "Look, you've tried everything, so we're going to have to go to the silent treatment.
Right.
Like we're going to have to go that and let them sit and lie in their bed they've made and see if they can realize what it's going to be without you, what their life's going to be without you. And so after Easter, their little family Easter was on a Saturday. His sister, who he's not spoken to since Christmas, when she said horrible things about me, like if he liked guys, why would he be with somebody as feminine as me? And
bitch, I would have slapped her.
The what?
I would have slapped the bitch.
Yeah, I mean, he's not told me. He's so angry at her that if she were to just call, he would bitch her out, and that's not the kind of person he is. So I'm thinking that he didn't tell me all that she really did say. Because, see, I knew his parents like a year or so before he came out to them. I had been on good vacation with them, and suddenly after him coming out to them, I was just demon-possessed, and they couldn't even be in the same room with me. But apparently she said some horrible things. But on Easter, after she hadn't talked to him since Christmas, she sent him a text saying, I miss you. We miss you so much. I miss you being here. Call me anytime. Love you. And it was like 8 exclamation points. It was completely ridiculous. And then several of his aunts had texted him then, and his parents tried to call on Sunday, I think. Well, on Monday or Tuesday, I think it was on Tuesday. I come into the apartment, and there's a package at the door.
Yeah.
And it was basically Luke's Easter basket in a box sent by his parents. And it had, candy and bullshit in it, and it had pictures of, when he was a little kid, trying to get an emotional response out of him, as to say, here is when you were still innocent and your innocence wasn't lost, and then there was a frame with his parents' picture, what's he going to do with that?
Wait, they actually said that, or that's just, you think, the message they were sending?
Oh, I mean, I could, see right through it. I knew that's what they were trying to do.
Okay.
I mean, that's what he even said. He knew that they included the little pictures in a card as an emotional response. On the front of the card, it just said, since you weren't here at Easter, we thought we'd send it to you in the mail or something like that. And that was basically all it said. And then on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever day it was, they called and was like, we're just wondering if you got your Easter thing or whatever. And he didn't respond at all. He got numerous texts and numerous calls all week. And on Wednesday or Thursday, he got a voicemail from his dad, which said, we have a lady moving into our basement, and we need to know what to do with the rest of your stuff, because, he went to college and he graduated 2 years ago. And so, a few of his things are still there. So, but like I was telling you, he's got a new job, so he will have to go over there or either get a new Social Security card and birth certificate and all that stuff. But, because he needs it for work. But anyway, so his dad said that about, you need to come clean your stuff out. And it was like, oh, okay, great. So you're kicking him out, essentially. So, he still never even responded to that. He was not even he was going to wait. And I told him, I said, you need to wait. You need to force them to have to contact me to even get in touch with you,
Yeah.
Make it that that they have to go through me, as bad as they hate.
Right.
Well, Friday he's at work, and guess who he gets a call from at work?
His mom?
He answers the phone, and his mom's like, it's your mom. And he said, okay. And she said, we were just wondering if you were still alive. And
oh, my God. Are you serious?
Yeah. He said, okay. And she said, well, will you call me when you get off work? And he was like, yeah, I'll call you. And that was the end of it.
Did he call her?
He called me after that happened, and I was like, are you serious? Because I had told him before, I said, they'll just call your work before they contact me. They won't even bother with me. they'll like call you and interrupt you at work to see if you're still alive.
Right.
And so they did. And so anyways, after all that was over with, he was like, I guess I'm going to have to call and just give them a piece of my mind and let them know, and then give them a list of all the things that I need them to have ready for me when I have to go by and get my Social Security card and birth certificate. So he called her Friday night, and he said, look, I don't want this fair weather relationship. I don't want you to call and talk about the weather and act like everything's okay after you say horrible things about me. You know, don't send me an Easter basket. If you want me to have an Easter basket so badly, you should let me come to Easter. You know,
Exactly.
And he said, you know, stop putting conditions on your love for me, and love withheld pending approved behavior is not love.
Thank you.
So if they're trying to punish him by just, oh, well, you can't come and you're not welcome and blah, 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 well, then you don't love him.
Exactly.
Okay, that's not unconditional love. And so he told him, he said, I'm not doing that anymore. And he was like, okay, let's just cut to the chase. Will you accept Caleb coming to family events or holidays or whatever, yes or no? And so basically she said no, but went the long way of saying it and said all her reasons why for not telling no.
Yeah.
And it was because they can't condone that behavior and blah, blah, blah. And Luke said, okay, so when you're at work and people come in that you have to deal with every day that you don't agree with their behavior, why are they, what do you do then? And she said, well, it's my job to point out to them what they're doing that's wrong.
It is her job, huh? Okay. That's
yeah,
good to know.
Apparently she's the judge, the jury, and the executioner.
She's been appointed by God, apparently. Okay.
Luke was just like, that makes no sense because I was never raised that way. He said he was never raised that way, that she had never done that in his entire life, just went up to somebody and pointed that out. So it's just a new gay thing that...
Well, she's just being obstinate. She doesn't want him to have any kind of... She's trying to make a point so he's not able to argue against it. I mean, you know what I mean? That may not even be who she really is, but she's making it difficult for him to even... make a point. He's trying to make a point that she's being a hypocrite, but she's not going to let him make it, is my point. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I think she's just doing it to be a bitch about it. So.
Right. And she said about his grandmother, she said that she was like, well, she's still in shock. And Luke was like, I understand that. That's fine. And I knew y'all were in shock. That's why I tried to help y'all through the process when I first came out and all this. And that's why I was very sensitive to the issue with y'all. And he said, but it's been 8 months. You're not in shock anymore. You can pretend to be, but you're not. And he was just like, I've got to live my life, and whether you like it or not. And then finally, when he realized it wasn't getting anywhere, I mean, he doesn't even talk religious things with them anymore because they just don't listen.
Yeah.
He's not even interested in changing their mind, anything. He wants them out of his life and just to be over with. And so he said, all right, so what do we need to do about my stuff in the house? Because he said, I don't even care about the shelf and all that stuff. And he said, his mom said, well, who will Caleb be coming with you, like, to get your stuff? And he said, yes. Is that going to be a problem? And she was just silent. And he said, all right, well, then I'm going to drop him off at, like, this Sonic or something that's, like, close by their house because he's not going to put me in harm's way because he doesn't know, because they've reacted throughout this whole process out of fear, so he doesn't know how far they would go, which I've talked to you about before, about how scary it is because you never know. And plus, I mean, if I'm on their property, they can do whatever.
Right.
So he said, okay, and he said, well, I also need my Social Security card, my birth certificate, my diploma, and stuff like that. And she said, well, it sounds like you're trying to cut us off. And I was like, are you serious? You're the one cutting him off. And Luke was like, okay. And his mom said, well, are y'all moving to California? I mean, just out of the blue, are y'all moving to California?
So did you know she knew y'all went to California?
Yeah, she knew that because he told her just in case like an emergency or something happened, which was a mistake. They should have never known.
Yeah.
But she, no, I think it's because all gay people apparently migrate to California and get AIDS, because that's apparently what she thinks.
Oh my God.
So she said, "Are y'all going to California?" And Luke was like, I mean, not anytime soon." And then whatever she said after that, Luke said that she sounded like she didn't even believe him. She thought he was lying when he said that. Like, apparently she thinks he's going to California and that we're just up and moving or something, but he's not telling them about his new job and that we're going to be moving soon or anything like that, because like for safety and for safety reasons, and I mean they don't deserve to know either.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say. They don't deserve anything. They don't deserve to know that. They're not a part. They shouldn't be a part of his life, because all they do is belittle him and make him feel bad about who he, or try to make him feel bad about who he is and what he is, and they won't accept him. And why would you want anybody like that in your life anyway? I don't care if they're your parents or what they are. You don't want that kind of person in your life. They're, like you said, they're toxic, and fuck them. I mean, honestly, there's a point you have to get to, a point where you just say, fuck them. Fuck it. Fuck them. If they don't like me, fuck them. You can't change their fucking mind. I mean, seriously. And why, like I said, I understand they're his parents, but why is he trying so hard? I mean, it sounds to me, though, like what you've said, the last few interactions he's had, the last few, have been a little more, he's got taken back a bit of control and not so concerned about what they think, and that's good.
Oh yeah, I think he's been past that point for a long time now. He deals with things sometimes by not dealing with them. Yeah, which is not a good way to go. Which I've been trying to be like, okay, let's make a decision. Get this over with or whatever. And apparently, near the end of the phone call, his mom said, "Well, it sounds like to me I'm either going to have to risk everything I believe in or just disown my son, and I don't know if I can do that." Like saying that she didn't know if she could disown her son, and she didn't know if she could risk everything she believes in or whatever, and which is absolutely crazy. But I was talking to him, and I said, what's so crazy is they're so concerned about your soul, about going to hell or whatever, and here we are, we're thinking, how sad is it that we're worried for your soul, because everything they've done makes us think that they don't know love, they don't know God or whatever. And
you have to realize, Caleb, and I know you both come from a religious family, highly religious families, but you have to think of them as cult victims. And I say that because I believe that there are certain types of Christians and Muslims and whatever that are fanatics. And they are like cult members, and they are brainwashed, and that's how they are. So they've been brainwashed by their belief system, by their religion, by the people that they trust or whatever, and they've been told to trust. And so if they've been taught to believe that believing anything other than what they've been taught in the Bible or by their pastor or whatever is against God, and anything that they've been other than what they've been told is evil or wrong or sinful or whatever. And so they've been brainwashed to believe that. So they're literally probably afraid to believe anything else, even though in their own mind, their rational mind tells them that their behavior may be irrational. They keep saying, no, because the Bible says this. My pastor says this. This is what God believes or says because my pastor tells me that or whatever. They are brainwashed. So if you're brainwashed, you really can't make rational decisions. You make decisions based upon what you've been programmed to believe. And that's what they're doing. They're acting in accordance with their religious fundamental beliefs, and you are not going to change that unless you take them and throw them in some, pit somewhere for a year and deprogram them. I mean, seriously, you're not going to change them. So you can't rationalize with someone who's irrational. You can't rationalize with crazy. I mean, I've said that a million times in my show. You can't, have a rational conversation with someone who's nuts. And I'm sorry to say that, but I consider them nuts. I really do. That you would rather not have someone that you're supposed to love unconditionally in your life and someone you've known their entire life, 24 years or however old he is, and you've known them all his life, all that time period. You raised him, you know him in and out, whatever. And because of who he is, you would rather not have him in your life. That is crazy. And you would rather go with what some stranger is telling you is, quote unquote, the truth than to actually follow your heart. And what you know is rational and in your mind is the truth, is that your son is someone to love, and it's the same person that's all he's always been. And it's only your fucked up mind that tells you differently. So my point is, as I said at the beginning, you can't fucking change him. So he just needs to say, fuck it. Be done with it. Change his fucking phone number. Move when you guys move. Don't have anything to do with them. I mean, at least for a year. Just have nothing to do with them for a year. I mean, literally, if they call you, if they write you, if they find you, whatever, don't have anything to do with these fuckers because they are fuckers, okay? They are fucked up, brainwashed, religious nutbags. I'm sorry to say that, but that's who they are. And as long as they're in his life, they're just going to make his life miserable. And until they have deprogrammed themselves through their own rational thinking or have come in contact with people who actually have brains and actually tell them what they think is wrong and they actually believe that, until they deprogram themselves, nothing's going to change. So my advice is just go away for a year and don't have anything to do with them. Can you guys do that? Can you just go away for a year and not tell them and not talk to them? And after he gets his birth certificate and gets his information and things he needs, can you do that?
Yeah, and I think that, like what I was saying earlier, is I think that, if they can't take a step back and examine their beliefs without thinking that they're going to go to hell by just examining their beliefs, then they have no faith at all. So that's pretty sad. And he told him on the phone, he said, look, I don't want you to call me. Call me if you need something, and that's it. And I will be here at this certain date to pick up my things, and, that's it. And we're not telling them that we're moving. We're not telling them that he's got a new job, so when they try and send him something in the mail, it's going to get returned to them, or, whatever happens. But they shouldn't have this control. And near the end of the phone call, she was like, well, I thought we had a really good relationship. And he said, we did. We did. But it's just so ridiculous. If you have to choose between doing what's right, what's supposedly right between loving your son, then you need to love your son. That's what's right here.
That's right.
So it's so twisted, and it's crazy that people like this pick, like, this is the horse that they pick for their race.
Yes.
Like, they just believe that the 3 damn verses in the Bible about homosexuality or whatever, like, they will go to their grave just believing 100% that that's it.
But even though
they won't look at anything else.
They're named Christians. Christians are named after Jesus Christ. Christ himself never said one fucking word about homosexuality. So if it's such a fucking big deal in that religion, why did he never say a fucking word? I think if it were such a fucking big deal as people like them make it to be, that for God's sakes, Jesus fucking Christ would have said something about it, for God's sakes. Okay? He would have said something about it. He never said a fucking word about it. So my point is, just for me, it's the irrational thought. They don't think. They're not thinking. Yeah, their pastor says this, the Bible says this, or whatever. The Bible's written by man. I could go on for hours about that, of course. But my point is that it's not rational to think that the Bible says a few things about homosexuality, but Jesus Christ, the guy we're supposed to follow and emulate, never said a word about it. So it must not be that fucking important. Why can't they make that connection? I don't understand that. That just drives me nuts. Drives me nuts. I
know. And they claimed that, they said, well, I guess you're choosing Caleb over your family. And he said, no. family is the most important thing to me, and Caleb is my family. You know, I think it's the problem with they don't realize that whether I'm in the picture or not, he's still who he is, and he's going to live his life for him, not for them.
Right.
So they can get over whatever he does. And whatever he does, they were going to have a problem with it anyway. They've always been like that with jobs he's had. They're like, well, are you going to try and search for something more? And da-da-da-da-da, you know. And now they're just not going to be a part of his life and find out anything about that. So as far as I'm concerned, that's what they get. And if they get on the phone and want to cry and cry, boo-hoo. I hope you get dehydrated because you're shedding so many fucking tears because you're doing it to yourself. I mean, literally, they're doing it to themselves. And what's crazy is I think I told you that they were all supposed to come over to our apartment and like months ago, 2 or 3 months ago.
Yes.
And sit down and finally talk with me because they've not seen me throughout this whole process. And finally talk with me, you know. And that night, when they didn't come over, they or actually they were supposed to come the next day, and they didn't respond to the text the night before. So we were like, okay. Well, the next day they call and just gave Luke this huge, heartfelt apology and said they were sorry for how they handled everything and for how they had treated him. I saw right through that bullshit. I mean, people we talked to about this said, oh, well, maybe it's getting better. Maybe it's a step in the right direction. No. I knew exactly what they were doing. They did that bullshit just to get out of having to see me and to have to come down here and do that. And it's exactly what happened because the way they're acting now proves that was just a load of crap.
But, you know, they haven't ever actually talked to you. I mean, they haven't ever actually treated you that way into your face, have they? It's always been behind your back, right?
Well,
Except
the one time
thing.
when I was supposed to go to the meetings, and at the last second they were like, you're not allowed. It pissed me off, so I went to where him and his parents were eating, and I just dropped off the documentary because he was supposed to take it with him, and he forgot, and I was like, I'm just going to go and drop it off to him, and his mom, I walked in, his dad just gave me that, like, the most horrible look I've ever seen in my life, and just was like, hey. And then his mom was just like, hey, how are you?
But that's
and
what I'm saying. They haven't actually been real about it. They've always been, I mean, even if he gave you a dirty look or whatever, and she gave you this fake, you know, hi, whatever, they've never actually said to your face, we don't like you, you're the reason our son's gay, and blah, blah. They've never actually come out and confronted you at all.
No.
And so that's my point, is that they're cowards, and they can do it behind your back, but they won't do it to your face. And so, I mean, they must have some part of them that actually isn't completely convicted about it, or maybe that's just the kind of people they are. They're cowards. I don't know. They can actually say it to your face. But they either have reverence for your relationship, which obviously we know is not true, and they don't want to say something that they would find Luke would think was rude, but that's not the case. We know that's not the case. So obviously they're just afraid of you.
They won't do it to my face, but they'll say everything about me to him.
Yeah, it's behind your back.
And all this other stuff.
It's behind your back, yeah. Well, that's
She made a comment 2 weeks ago to him saying she was trying to make him feel guilty on that Wednesday before Easter.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, your grandparents are getting old, you know, and it sure would be sad if they died, you know, and he just was like, yep, it sure would be. You know,
that's a manipulation.
Thinking, well, it'd be sad if I died. In the past 6 months, my parents have treated me like shit.
Yep. That's a manipulation, and also, obviously, they don't make the connection like you just said, so yes. Though they're manipulators, and they're liars, and they're fake, and they're just typical Southern Baptists. But anyway, I'm sorry. This is a horrible situation, but I hope that you're gonna actually try. I hope that you can convince him as well, and it sounds like you can now, that you can just disconnect from them and
oh yeah,
go
I
away.
think we have already started that process. Thank God it's been 8 months for me waiting and just begging and trying and doing all I can do, but I think he
had to be
like
strong.
2 weeks he's going to go over there and get his things or like those like 5 documents, and then that's going to be it. You know, I guess they're going to call him when somebody dies, and that'll be it. But
I'm not surprised it took this long, because he had just come out when all this began. Obviously, that was the impetus for all of this. So while all of this was happening, not only was he having to deal with their negative reaction, he was also having to deal with his coming out and having to come to terms with that, and how it changes their feelings for him and their love for him, and blah, 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 blah. So he's now, it sounds like to me, he's now confident enough and secure enough and has healed enough by the whole situation to see it clearly and not be manipulated by them, and you know, take them at their face value, and actually see them for what they are and how they're treating him. So it doesn't surprise me it's taken him 8 months or whatever to get to this point. I think it's great that he finally did, and that he's actually going to move away from them and to something better, and to something happy. And I think that having this toxicity around all the time has got to be negative, both for your relationship and for your health. It's just a horrible situation to be in. So I hope you'll remove yourself from it and actually make your lives together, you know, alone, without their interference. So,
right, I'm trying to get finished with the semester. This week is my last week, and after all this happened, it's kind of taken it's a weight off both of our shoulders, because
sure.
I mean, now we don't have to expect a phone call every day or a text, and when he doesn't respond, they know why. And if they call just trying to talk about the weather, he's just going to hang up on them. You know, he's told them, he's had meetings, he sent them a letter, giving them an ultimatum, like it's time for action. And I think we're finally there. So
good. Well, I just hope. I think you should just tell them that if he doesn't want to talk to them unless they want to say they accept him.
What'd you say?
I don't think he should talk to them at all. Unless they say, I mean, he should tell them that I don't want to talk to you, period, until you're ready to accept both Caleb and my relationship and the fact that I'm gay, and not judge me for who and what I am, and we can move forward. Otherwise, I don't want to hear from you, period. Until you get to that point and you apologize or whatever he wants from them. That's what I would say, but that's just me.
Exactly. They're acting like they're 5 years old. Well, if Caleb's going to be there, I'm just not going to go.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Is he their only son?
Grade?
Is he their only kid?
He has a sister, but it's just them two. He's the oldest, though.
Yeah, so he's their only son.
Yeah, and I mean, it's sad that like his grandma just cried on the phone. I mean, I think they're really worried about his soul or whatever, but I feel like you're doing it to yourself. Like, get a grip. In this day and age, you have plenty of resources. Your son has sent you emails and videos and letters. He has given you so much information, and it's your choice if you want to stay willfully ignorant. I mean, it's your choice.
Yep.
So I feel like we're way past the ignorant stage. We're way past all that. They're choosing to do this now. You know,
right.
It has been here for a long time. So I don't feel sorry about any of the pain that they go through. They've done it to themselves. And that may sound heartless, but...
Oh, please. You know, I would have been heartless a long time ago.
I
know you would have been, too.
I have been.
I know you would have been, too. I know that. But that's like I was saying. You had to give him time to catch up emotionally to where you are.
Exactly.
And I think he's there, so that's good. That's very good news. That's good.
Right. Thank you for being an ear to talk to throughout this whole process. It's really helped.
Always, always, always. I hope I can meet you guys sometime if you ever come to Dallas or vice versa. I'd be happy to have dinner with you guys, you, me, Michael, and Luke. That'd be fun.
Oh, I know, since we're apparently moving to California because we're gay. We'll make a pit stop through Texas.
There you go. Yeah.
But we can't go through Mississippi because there's a crazy law that's going to come into effect in July.
The one about, remind me.
Segregation,
Oh,
basically.
that thing, yes, about, being gay. About not having to serve gay people and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a horrible thing.
I'm hoping, do you think, like, before the month of July is over, that will be abolished?
I think that I don't see how that law could stand under any federal court. Was it a federal court in Mississippi or Alabama, wherever it is? Mississippi, right?
Yeah, it's in Mississippi.
Or was it a state court that ruled that? Do you know?
I really don't know.
Because I don't see how
a
a federal court could rule that you can discriminate against people. That's essentially, it's Jim Crow 2.0. That's what I've said. So that's what it is.
Right.
You can't discriminate against people. You have to have this equal treatment under the law, period. And that's the federal law. I mean, so I don't care what a state wants. A state cannot usurp the federal government's constitutional right to say that you cannot do this. So I personally don't think that it'll go into effect, because I think Obama or somebody up there in the Supreme Court will challenge it or something. I hope so. But if it does go into effect, I don't foresee it lasting very long. You know what I mean?
You think there will be just tons of cases of discrimination, and they'll have to be like, okay, this is enough.
Well, even if it's not from people in Mississippi themselves, it would be from the ACLU or from, whatever. Well, on the behalf of the people in that state, we'll file a case on the federal courts to get it on the docket, to be ruled by the Supreme Court, and then, move up to that level, hopefully, and then get it ruled on. Once it's ruled on, then no state could have a law like that. Not Mississippi or any other state. So so I'm saying if it does get to the point where it is on the books, I don't think it'll last that long. It won't last forever. I know that. There's no way that law will stay. No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I know that in their mind it's a triumph and it's something that they want because they're idiots, but it's not going to do a damn thing. Ultimately, it's just going to be there for a while and make people pissed off, and eventually it'll go away because the law will say that you can't do that. Because the thing is, what happens, Caleb, is if that law is allowed to stay, it sets a precedent for, I don't want to serve any redheads, and I don't want to serve any straight people, or I don't want to serve any, married, whatever. You can choose any kind of person you want and discriminate against them. And so obviously that's not legal. So no, I hope not. I don't think it's going to stay, but we shall see. But yeah, just be happy you don't live in Mississippi then,
Yeah.
It could be worse than Alabama.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows what's coming to Alabama there.
Well, I mean, you live in the deep South, so you're definitely in the heart of things. I don't see that ever happening in Texas. I think Texas, I mean, I hesitate to say this, but in some ways, Texas is more liberal than your states by far, because I mean, we have Dallas, we have Houston, we have big liberal, and Austin, liberal strongholds here. I don't know about Alabama and Mississippi, but they strike me as, don't strike me. I know they're extremely conservative, deep Southern, places. So, do you have a liberal bastion of college or something there that's very liberal or anything in where you live, or is it just very conservative?
I don't know about a college. I know there's several people that are liberal, but I think they're just overrun by all the conservatives. I mean, the mom who just shot her son's boyfriend.
Yes.
In the back, basically no mention of a hate crime at all. So that tells me right there that people just try to sweep things under the rug.
No, they said it wasn't a hate crime because she was defending herself. They got into an argument or something. It had nothing to do with him being gay. Whatever. She went there to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, they said that they met there to talk or whatever, and then everything was fine, and then her son went and got in the car, and then his boyfriend was following him there, and he had walked away from his mom, and from the other guy's mom, and he was walking back to the car, and she just shot him in the back. So I mean, it's not out of self-defense.
How can it be self-defense if somebody's turned around from you?
Yeah, she shot him in the back, so there's no way that it was.
I'm going to run over here and then shoot you. I mean, it makes no sense.
It's just, first of all, it's bullshit that they were just oh, well, this is definitely not a hate crime. The last time I checked, you had to do an investigation to figure that out. You dumb fuck.
That stupid guy, the police guy,
me off.
The police guy, the I don't know if he's a sheriff or whatever he is. I saw that, him saying that in the beginning, like the next day or something. He was saying it wasn't a hate crime. I'm like, how the fuck do you know? I mean, because of what she said. Because of what she said, it wasn't a hate crime. Because that's we'll take her word for it.
So you're listening to
the murderer,
the murderer's point of view. Oh, okay, that's great.
Whereas
that's all we have to take into consideration.
If it had been a black person shooting a white person, then that would never have been a question. They would have immediately arrested them. Or if it had been a gay person shooting a straight person, they would have been arrested. Or I mean, I'm just saying, in any other situation, it would have been different. I don't see it just because it was a gay person. I think that's why I was like, that's horrible. It's a horrible. That's why if I lived where you live, and I know it's hard to move, you're young and you don't have a lot of money and you're in school and you're young, so it's understandable. But I mean, there's no fucking way I would ever live in Alabama. I'm sorry. There's just no way I would ever live there. I don't care if I came from there or whatever. And I think Texas is bad, but Alabama's worse. So Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, those 3 states. Ugh, good Lord. Hell no.
I know.
No. It's like living in the fucking Confederacy again. I mean, I don't. So it's. I mean, I feel sorry for you and anybody who lives in those states and you're gay. It's got to be really difficult. So when you guys do move and ultimately when you finish college and stuff, are you thinking about moving away from Alabama, or are you going to stay there?
Hopefully. Like I said, he just got a pretty good job, so he'll probably stay there for at least a couple of years.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure. Just, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
You don't have to know. I was just curious. But, well, I hope everything works out with your move and stuff. When are you moving, or approximately, or?
Did you say where or when?
When?
Well, he starts his new job like at the end of this week, but it's kind of close to where my parents live, so he will be staying with them like 3 days out of the week.
Oh, cool.
So we're hoping for a place in probably about June.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, pretty soon.
Well, that's great. I wish you guys luck. I hope things work out. Let me know what happens with his family if he cuts them off, and let me know. I mean, it's always interesting to know. I just keep rooting for him and for you and for this to be resolved the way I think it should be, which is what I've already told you. And I hope that you guys follow suit, and hopefully that's what you can do. And I think you'll be much happier, and without having them on your ass all the time about who you are and hating on you and shit. And you can just move on with your lives and live your lives happily and not have to worry about these crazy people like screaming at you all the time about how horrible you are. I mean, it's a horrible situation. So I wish you the best with it.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling in, Caleb, and I will talk to you later.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Good night.
All right. Good night.
Okay, that's Caleb, everybody. He's called in before, and I talk to him all the time, so he's cool. Yeah, so it's, the most disturbing thing about that for me, as I've said before to some degree, is that you have this family that has disowned their son and refuses to love him for what and who he is. And unconditional love is the only kind of love that a parent should ever have for their child, in my opinion. And this is not the case, unfortunately, with his parents. But as I said, they have been brainwashed by religion. They've been brainwashed by their pastor, by their friends around them, to think irrationally instead of using their fucking brain. So it's not surprising at all. It's just disappointing that people would choose this type of reaction to their son being gay. It's just ridiculous. And the older I've gotten, the more I've thought about, death and what I think comes when we die. And I think less and less about there being something after we die, at least not the way most people think about it. And so just to waste your entire life hating somebody that is your flesh and blood that you love, that loved you and that you love, and just because they're different is just, it's a waste. It's a waste of life. Life's too short. So hopefully things go well for Caleb and for Luke, and things will improve. I certainly hope so. And I thank you for listening to the show tonight for Brain Purge. I'll be back for Game Ass tomorrow probably. So feel free to listen in then. And FYI, you can go to offlimitshow.com and listen to most shows there. But you can also listen to all the shows at Spreaker.com. You can listen to the Brain Purge shows, to the Off Limits shows, and to the to the gay mass shows, the acoustic mass shows, and so on. There's several shows on Spreaker you can look at. And FYI, if you want to listen on iTunes, you need to download or search for Brain Purge and search for Gay Mass and for Off Limits shows separately, because they're all under 3 different accounts. So you'll have to download or listen to them, subscribe to them separately if you want to hear them on iTunes or whatever. So thanks for listening. I'll be back probably tomorrow night. Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening. Good night.